I want to revisit some issues I raised earlier, and I just like a gut response, non-technical. I raised the concerns by the LAO. I raised the concerns by the auditor. I raised the concerns by ITS. I raised the concerns by the Inspector General. I raised the concerns about failure to meet commitments that were made, not just routinely and informally, but in an open and public hearing and in face-to-face meetings. I raised concerns about incompatible offices, and I raised concerns about potential conflicts. And your response is, could we have more money sooner? I'm flabbergasted, and it takes a lot to flabbergast me after all my
Senator.
Clear, notwithstanding my earlier comments and questions and the concerns that I've raised. I support high-speed rail. I've been in this legislature for 10 years. I have voted to support high-speed rail, I think, at every opportunity. I voted against delaying the placement of a high-speed rail measure on the ballot. And after everything that I've described earlier, 2 years in, I still go home every week and tell my constituents that I support high-speed rail done right, even when a lot of them would prefer that I had a different answer to their question. So you don't have to persuade me that California can be, and I would even go so far as to say ought to be, home to a world-class, successful high-speed rail system. I think that gets lost. The reason I've raised the concerns I've raised about credibility and trust and good faith is because I am a supporter of high-speed rail done right, and I think you are perilously close to losing the opportunity to get high-speed rail done right accomplished here in California if these credibility and trust issues are not successfully addressed. So I find the presentation useful. I appreciate the observations that you and the chairman have made that each case is unique, each circumstance is unique. But I, for one, am already convinced that high-speed rail could be done right and be successful here in California and be a boon to the state in terms of environment, transportation, and economic development. So I just don't want that to get lost in the presentation.
Change that aspect.
Mr. Van Ark, I need to raise an issue of concern. You referenced the lack of a trailer bill. I know in your letter regarding your inability or unwillingness to make good on the commitments that were made with respect to the budget, you've referenced the late budget as a hindrance. The fact of the matter is you've been able to spend tens of millions of dollars moving the project forward when and where you wanted to through the use of contractors and subcontractors. The only concern the Inspector General raises is that the money wasn't properly documented, but it seems to me you've been quite able to move your agenda forward when and where you wanted to and spend significant sums to that purpose, notwithstanding the absence of a budget. So I'm wondering, and forgive my skepticism, I'm wondering why it is you can make the system work when there are expenditures you want to make, but you don't seem to be able to make the system work when there is work product that's committed to the legislature.
Senator, I have committed myself to supplying you with a business plan. But to be able to do a business plan, we need financial consultants. We today, after the budget was approved, were able to get an approval to hire financial consultants. So PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Mr. Van Ark, did all work stop on July 1st? Did you not spend any money since July 1st in the High-Speed Rail Authority?
We carried on. We have 15 people, Senator.
No, I'm talking about with contracts and subcontracts.
We did, but the contractors and the subcontractors that we've got have got specific roles. The contractor PMT they're basically environmental engineers and engineers and scientists and that type of people. I'm talking about a financial consultant. It's a completely different consultancy. We needed this to go ahead.
The one thing I know is that money is a fungible commodity, Mr. Van Ark. You had the money to pay for the things you wanted to push forward, but apparently you couldn't find the money to pay for the things that the legislature had asked of your organization.
I do not agree, Senator. Unfortunately, both aspects of hiring people, I was not able to hire them. The governor prevented us from hiring anybody for a while. I now have the approval to hire state staff. And I do not have a mechanism to hire exempts. I cannot do that. And the other thing is there are certain types of functions that I cannot subcontract because they are not within the work scope of the people. Otherwise, I would get another one of these things from the Auditor General or the auditor saying that I've paid for financial services through Parsons Brinckerhoff, and they're not supposed to be paid through Parsons Brinckerhoff. So, I don't have the approval to do so. If you say I should do so, then I will do so. But
what I'll say is I am unpersuaded by your explanation, sir.